In 1990, the first feature-length movie produced in North Africa, The Five Accursed Gentlemen, was filmed in Tunisia. In 1924, Semama Chikli directed a medium-length film called The Girl from Carthage, thus making him one of the first native filmmakers in North Africa. Tunisia also hosts the Carthage Film Festival, which has been taking place since 1966. Viaggio Celebrity presents top 15 Tunisian films. Number 15. Buried Secrets 2009. In the servants' underground quarter of a deserted mansion, a mother lives with her older middle-aged and her younger daughter. The elder daughter has had an abortion and claims not to want a man. In the beginning, the younger daughter shows no other noticeable behavior than wishing to be a modern town girl. She cuts all hair off her legs but has wounds from unskilled use of the razor. One day, two young couples come to the mansion and prepare a feast. Before the feast, the younger daughter tries on some luxury cloth but happens to break a pair of shoes but still show up at the feast. Someone gives her a glass of wine, her first experience of alcohol, so she almost vomits and runs away. Her mother and elder sister tie her hands and feet to the bed. The girl, whose shoes were broken, searches for unknown people in the house and finds the younger daughter tied up. Number 14. Tunisian Stories 2012. Three best friends, Sams, who is living a love deception, Sabrine between two rows, the pressure of her family who wants her to get married and her vision of Mr. Right, and Ines, divorced woman who is enjoying her time by having open relationship and nightstands. Hassan, after the loss of her beloved wife, decides to drop his successful career and go back to Tunisia, where he hasn't been since 13 years. The taxi driver, who suddenly lost his job, finds himself blocked with unemployed. Mo, the owner of a pub, lives a wealthy, corrupted life. The daily life of this character has lost its simplicity and become more and more complicated. Derailment is a short film of the inventive Tunisian filmmaker Nadia Sara. Derailment means indecision. It is her first film which won an award at 2011 African Film Festival de Anger. Slema subverts the genre of the love triangle in Tunisia. Men can play around, but women are supposed to remain virgin until she is deflowered on her wedding night. There, the bloody bedsheet is proudly displayed as proof of the bride's purity and her father's honor. Number 13. The Dove's Lost Necklace 1991. This second feature in Nasser Khamer's Desert Triology is a visually ravishing folktale reminiscent of the 1001 Nights. The story revolves around Hassan, who is studying Arabic calligraphy from a grand master. Coming across a fragment of manuscript, Hassan goes in search of the missing pieces, believing that once he finds them, he will learn the secret of love. With the help of Zin, a lover's go-between, he meets the beautiful Aziz, princess of Samarkand. After encountering wars, a battle between false prophet and an ancient curse, he learns that an entire lifetime would not suffice for him to learn the many dimensions of love. Tunisian director Nasser Khamer, also a poet, painter, and professional storyteller, notes the film takes place in Muslim Andalusia of 11th century. But it's not a question of reconstituting a given time and place, but rather of summoning up the reflection of a forgotten garden, and out of a yearning for peace so difficult to protect from barbarians and from destructive fanaticism. Number 12. Red Satin 2002. After the death of her husband, the widow Lilia's life revolves solely around her teenage daughter Selma. Whilst looking for Selma late one night, Lilia's transformation begins when she becomes suspicious of her teenage daughter of engaging in a secret relationship with Chokri, a Darboka drummer in Selma's dance class. To find out more, Lilia decides to follow Chokri one day, On her escapade, she follows him into his second workplace, a cabaret club. After overcoming her initial shock, Lilia becomes drawn toward the dancer and drum music. The women are very different from Lilia as they wear colorful clothing, they are showing their midriffs and they are dancing in a sensual manner to the drum beat. After befriending the lead dancer Fola, Lilia is convinced to start dancing in the cabaret club. While Lilia begins dancing nightly, she simultaneously begins a romantic relationship with Chokri, who is still unaware that Lilia is Salma's mother. Number 11. Look at Me, 2018. Lotfi, a 40-something Tunisian immigrant, leads the life of a small-time thug in the Noël's neighborhood of Marseille. His daily life is occupied by his home appliance store and Monique, his French girlfriend. But the past catches up with him when his brother calls from Tunisia to inform him that his wife has had a stroke. Now Lotfi has to go back home to reclaim custody of his 9-year-old autistic son Emma, whom he has not seen for 6 years. Thus begins a journey where Lotfi will face his son who completely ignored the father he has never known. It is Emma's avoidance of eye contact that drives Lotfi's quest to connect with his son and open him up to the world. Number 10. The Silence of the Palace, 1994. Set in 1950s Tunisia, a 25-year-old woman Alia returns to her place of birth, a prince palace in which her mother Khadija worked as a house servant and mistress of Prince Sid Ali. She had fled the palace 10 years earlier, at which time she spent burying tortured memories of her childhood. In her visit to pay respect for the death of the prince, she wanders through the largely abandoned palace where she is confronted by these memories, represented as detailed flashbacks of her childhood. She begins to piece together a narrative about her mother's affair and exploitation in a space ordered by gender and class difference, and is reawakened to her persistent questioning about her father's identity. As she negotiates her past, she also deals with her current relationship to her lover Lotfi, who has asked her to have another abortion. Her development throughout the film contrasts her awakening to a past of love and social servitude which many of the female servants experience in the palace against her own contested independence fraught with pain, conflict and uncertainty. Number 9. As I Open My Eyes, 2015. Tunis, summer 2010. A few months before the revolution, Sarra, 18 years old, has just graduated and her family already sees her as a future doctor. But she doesn't think the same way. She sings in a political rock band. She has a passion for life, gets drunk, discovers love and her city by night against the will of her mother Hayat, who knows Tunisia and its danger too well. In a scene when Farah talks with her father in a restaurant, in the background, we can see Nouri Bouzid, who is the father of Leila Bouzid and he is also a famous director in Tunisia. Number 8. Alfawin, Boy of the Terraces, 1990. In Alfawin, a Tunis neighborhood, young Nora, finally acted by the director's nephew, is divided between several worlds. That of man in the streets, the women with whom he can still share the hammam, despite his puberty approaching and his imagination in which he fears the transition to adult life. Bogdi paint a happy picture of Tunisian life and illustrate the subtle and complex relationship between men and women in Tunisia. The boy discovers the pleasure of life as his family adopts a teen girl. The boy tries whenever he has a chance to see her. After 3 or 4 attempts, the boys succeed. Not only is Alfawin the most successful and watched Tunisian movie of all time, but it's also a wonderful reflection of the so typical moss in Moorish countries regarding many taboo subjects. On the top of them, love. And yet, this is not a political movie Farid Boughedi made, choosing the very standpoint of a preteen, which means a kid caught between two ages. He saw the difficulty passing from infancy to adulthood in societies where adolescence isn't hardly considered. Number 7. Hedi, 2016. Hedi is a simple young man. He is neither very talkative nor reactive and does not expect much from the life that is traced for him. Indifferent to everything around him, he just takes life as it comes. He allows his authoritarian and overwhelming mother to organize his marriage to Khadija. He allows his boss to send him on a prospection trip to Media during the week of his wedding celebrations. And he allowed Ahmad, his brother who has come back from France, especially to take part in the ceremony, to dictate how he should behave. In other words, he takes it all as it comes. He understands what is happening to him, but he just waits for things to go by. In Media, he met Rim, who worked as an activity leader in a hotel, a seaside resort that is losing its tourists. Intrigued by her insouciance and frivolity, Hedy gets involved in a passionate love relationship with her. In the meantime, while the wedding preparation go on, Hedy is finally forced to make a choice. Number 6. Foreign Body 2016. Just after the Tunisian Revolution, the young Samia arrives illegally in France by crossing the Mediterranean Sea in a wrecked boat. In Tunisia, she had to denounce her brother and thus seek to definitively turn the page. She is collected in Lyon by Imed, an acquaintance of his village and friend of his brother. Samia is hired as a cleaning lady by a wealthy widow Leila, who is migrant from another era. A troubling game of seduction in the three-way rivalry will then set in place crescendo. The movie was a part of the 13th edition of Dubai International Film Festival. The director, producer and lead actress were present for the question and answer session after each show. Number 5. A Summer in La Goulette, 1996. Summer 1967. La Goulette, the touristic beach of Tunisia, is the site where three nice 17-year-old girls live. Gigi, Sicilian and Catholic; Mariam, Tunisian and Arab; Tina, French and Jewish. They would like to have their first love experience during that summer, challenging their families. Their fathers, Joseph, Jojo and Giuseppe, are old friends and their friendship will be in crisis because of the girls. While Hajj, an old rich Arab, would like to marry Mariam, this film, although pleasant enough, seems to start at a really slow pace. One may find themselves wondering when it will manage to get to its point as it were. The film shows the harmony between a community of Muslim, Jews and Christian in a small town in Tunisia. A Summer in La Goulette managed to nicely give a sense of community that transcends religious barriers, focusing on Muslim Joseph, Catholic Giuseppe, Jewish Jojo and their three daughters. Number 4. The Wedding Song 2008. Two young girls who have been neighbors and friends since they were children experience their first amorous emotions. Miriam is engaged to Simon, a doctor who is much older than her. Noor loves her cousin Khaled, whom she wants to marry. One of the girls is Jewish, the other Muslim. The story is set in 1942 during the German occupation of Tunisia, as the Axis forces try to win over the Tunisian population in exchange for the promise of independence. The two young girls become close while everything conspired to separate them. Director Karin Albo had difficulty casting the role of Noor due to the extensive nudity. She originally intended to cast a Tunisian girl before broadening her search to all Tunisian and then going to Algeria to search for actresses. After failing to find any actresses willing to appear naked, she moved on to France, where she finally found Olympe Borwell, who was willing to take on the role. Borwell had to learn Arabic for the movie. Number 3. Nadia Sara 2004. The relationship between women, those of friends, housekeeper, servant, student, teacher, and particularly the relationship of mother and daughter, as they experience the difficult stages of menopause and adolescence. 47-year-old Tunisian professor Nadia appears fulfilled, but as she enters menopause, she struggles with tension in her marriage, the physical and psychological symptom of aging, and her fraught relationship with her 18-year-old daughter Sarra, who lives her private life in secret. Nadia feels rejected by her husband and finds it difficult to accept her daughter's growing up and developing into a woman. Nadia starts to miss her classes, wanders the inappropriately dressed street of the city and ends up in a cinema showing a wonderful romantic movie. Nadia and Sarra, directed by Mofida Tatli. She was raised in Tunisia in a traditional oriented family. It was in high school thanks to her philosophy teacher who ran a film club that she developed a taste for the cinema. After graduating from the IDHSC Film School in 1968 in the editing department, she went back to live in Tunisia in 1972. Her name appears on the credit of some of the most important Arab films from 1970 to 1990. Number 2. Beauty and the Dogs 2017. During a student party, Mariam, a young Tunisian woman, meets the mysterious Yusuf and lives with him. A long night will begin during which she will have to fight for her rights and her dignity. But how can justice be made when it lies on the side of the tormentors? This film had broad international production support including several European countries. Filmed and storied out of Tunisia, its message has broad application to all countries where power and authority bullies and threatens individual rights even so far as terrorizing their citizens. We have institutionalized political and religious brutality in this film as a female college student attending a school party encounters the police. Her quest for justice is hampered by being a liberal female in a conservative country. Number 1. Babbage is the prince that contemplated his soul 2005. Babbage is the story of a blind Taoist named Babbage and his spirited granddaughter Ista. Together they wander the desert in search of a great reunion of Terraces that take place just once every 30 years. With faith as their only guide, the two journey for days through the expansive barren landscape. To keep Ista entertained, Babbage relays the ancient tale of a prince who relinquished his realm in order to remain next to a small pool in the desert, starting into its depth while contemplating his soul. As the tale of the prince unfolds, the two encounter other travelers with stories of their own, including Osman, who longs for the beautiful woman he met at the bottom of a well, and Zaid, who searches for the ravishing young woman who fled from him after being seduced by his songs. A fairy tale-like story of longing and belonging filmed in the enchanting and ever-shifting landscape of Tunisia and Iran. The music is great and makes the movie a ballad. It is like the song make the statement and image and dialogue just emphasize. Of course, songs are not translated but give you the mood. It is not easy at all to follow the story. It comes from a very different culture with its own rhythm, its own poetry, its own logical connection. For us, it is like floating in plain paradox.